Okay, in 2013, in response to the Quilla Trayvon Martin's murder, Black Lives Matter Foundation is a global organization in the U.S., UK, and Canada. Why is it not a global organization in Africa or any country in Africa that so-called African Americans are allegedly descended from through the whole transatlantic slave trade narrative? Whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. Yeah. By combating and countering us and creating space for black imagination and innovation, sending black joy, we are winning immediate improvements in our lives. How come we're not building black businesses or, getting black gun owners or proving black? We are expanding. We're a collective of liberators who believe in an inclusive and spacious movement. Why is it about inclusion? It sounds like a white supremacist liberal stunt. We also believe that in order to win and bring as many people with us along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in black communities. You're not a nationalist organization. When did Black Lives Matter become about nationalism? We must ensure we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. We affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with record, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. So, is Trayvon Martin a black, queer, or trans person? Was Trayvon Martin a disabled folk? Was Trayvon Martin an undocumented folk? Was Trayvon Martin a folk with record? Was Trayvon Martin a woman? And what gender spectrum was Trayvon Martin on? We are working for a world where black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. So, how come you're not working for a world where black people are separate from their fucking oppressors, aka pale-skinned demons? How come you're not working for that world? We affirm our humanity, our contribution to this society and resilience in the face of deadly oppression. Which society are you talking about? The society in the U.S., UK, or Canada? The call for Black Lives is a matter called for rallying cry for all Black lives, striving for liberation. So, liberation means separate. Are you a liberation group or a nationalist group? Because up here, we're a collective of liberators. Liberators, not nationalists. We must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in black communities. It's not very prevalent in black communities. Most so-called black people aren't nationalists or separatists, and anyone says that is a fucking demon liar. So, like it, share it. Join me for fight for freedom, liberation, and justice. Not fighting for nationalism or your own nation or reparations or like 40 acres and a mule. So, by signing up for updates, supporting our work. COVID-19 help us to fight disinformation. We need to see that Black Lives Matter is an essential target of defamation. You are a key line of defense. Exactly. Report suspicious site stories, add social accounts, and posts about Black Lives Matter. See, so Black Lives Matter. We're gonna click about back. So let's go. What matters? What matters? What matters 2020? I guarantee you they're not talking about nationalism, separation, or 40 acres and a mule. Can maximize the income of black Bible galvanized and that leads to the polls. And okay, getting black people to vote Democrat. Typical white supremacist liberal. Disproportionately black and underserved communities across. I thought this was Black Lives Matters, not underserved communities lives matters. As usual, pretending you're about black people when you're really for look. What matters truly will focus on issues concerning racial injustice, police brutality, criminal justice reform, black immigration, economic injustice, LGBTQ, not nationalism. Where's nationalism in there? Where's nationalism? LGBTQIA plus and human rights, environmental interests, and access to healthcare, access to quality education, and voting rights and suppression. So, white supremacist liberals. Where's nationalism? LGBTQIA. Really? LGBTQIA, about Black Lives Matter. The mission is to eradicate white supremacy. You're not trying to eradicate white supremacy by talking about LGBTQIA and immigration, but Black, queer, and trans folks appears before disabled folk, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all Black lives along the gender spectrum. So you're really not for Black people, Black lives. You're for Black, queer, and trans folks primarily. You've been exposed, but striving for liberation. Liberation. Let's look up the definition of liberation. Liberation definition. Liberation, we'll go to Merriam-Webster, is the act of living, the state of being liberated, a movement seeking equal rights and status for a group. Women's liberation. Do you mean seeking equal rights? Oh, that must be the white supremacist liberal definition of liberation. Not interested in that definition of liberation. Let's go for another definition. Well, Black Lives Matter is focused on Black women, apparently, so. The act of living or the state of being liberated. The act or act of gaining equal rights or full social economic for a particular group. Obviously, there must be curtailing these definitions for fake-ass groups like Black Lives Matters, apparently. Nobody wants a full social or economic for a particular group. How is that liberated? Yep, they must be curtailing. Notice it's the second definition, not the first one. Liberation must mean the act of the third definition in the free dictionary. The act of liberating or the state of being liberated. The act of purpose to try to equal rights. And obviously, they must have came up with the second definition of liberation because they're talking to the demons in Black Lives Matter. Let's see. Liberated. Let's see. Liberated. Let's look up liberated instead of liberation. What does liberated say? To set free as from oppression, confinement, or foreign control. So, they're looking for I like that definition. As from oppression, confinement, or foreign control. So we should be free from foreign control. They're not looking to be free from foreign control.